The Illinois legislature is back in session Saturday for the start of lame duck session. They're in Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday before they wrap things up and have to trash the 10,000 bills that they filed over the past 2 years. But there's a lot of potential things could move rapidly in lame duck session, gutting and replacing bills, passing them within a day or two, putting them onto the governor's desk. We've seen this in the past with the Safety Act in Illinois, 2021, the Pretrial Fairness Act ending cash bail, 2023 in January, lame duck session. You saw the Protect Illinois Communities Act pass, which banned the sale and possession of certain semi-automatic firearms and magazines. So the potential for lame duck session to produce controversial legislation is very real and something people are going to be watching closely. And us here at the Center Square, despite the snowstorm on the way, we're going to be focusing in on what's going on at the State House. And in particular, one thing that could come up is more gun control legislation. Now, back in November, State Representative Dan Dittich, a Democrat, he said that legislators need to focus on a measure enhancing the state's red flag laws.
The couple's relationship ended in 2021 over Dushan's objections to the defendant purchasing and storing firearms in their home. Dushan obtained an order of protection against the defendant, which required him to surrender his firearms. That order revoked his firearm owner's identification card. We have seen this tragic story before. Many of you are familiar with the case of Karina Gonzalez. Almost a year and a half ago, Karina and her 15-year-old daughter were shot and killed by Karina's husband, even though she had been granted an order of protection against him. The unacceptable circumstances surrounding Karina's death inspired legislation called Karina's Bill that will clarify and strengthen the law to require a firearm to be removed when a domestic violence survivor is granted the firearm remedy in an order of protection. We advanced similar legislation last year. Since then, progress has stalled as conversations among stakeholders have continued to iron out the details of the bill. I understand that this is a complex issue, but the time to get this done is now. On this issue, we should be doing less talking and more voting. Our job is to make laws. By continuing to do nothing, we're making orphans. When we return to Springfield in January, turning Karina's bill into Karina's law should be our priority.
When I talked with Illinois State Rifle Association's Ed Sullivan, he was aware of Katrina's bill possibly coming up during lame duck session, but he said there's a couple of other measures as well that the State Rifle Association is going to be monitoring closely as things, again, could move rapidly during lame duck session to advance bills to the governor's desk for his signature.
Well, there's three bills that we believe that are going to be called. One issue is called Lost and Stolen Firearms. That's House Bill 5595. I can give you numbers of bills. I think all these will change just because you need vehicles to move these through in 4 or 5 days. So lost and stolen firearms is really just penalizing law-abiding citizens if their firearm gets stolen and they don't know about it, changing the requirement to report that within 48 hours. In itself, I guess, you think, well, a law-abiding firearm owner probably would do that. But what if they didn't know about it? I have a safe that I probably don't look at for, 4 or 5 months at a time. If my wife was in it and left it open and someone stole a firearm and it was used in an accident or anything like that, I could be held liable for that. So that's an issue. They do change the definition of trafficking firearms, and so there's some problematic language within that. The second issue is safe storage of firearms. Once again, this goes against all the court cases that we have from Heller and so forth to Bruin on fees. In essence, they say that you have to have your firearms in a safe storage if you knew that a certain class of individual was in your home, that being minors under 18, and then they actually they add some language about prohibited people under federal or state law. Well, anybody that does not have a FOID card is prohibited from owning a firearm under federal or state law. So they are a prohibited person. And so anybody that comes into your home that doesn't have a FOID card, now you need to lock up your firearms. But it goes beyond that. It also says you have to lock up your firearms if you're in your home, your business, or your car. And so talking about excessive fees, you have to have some type of safe storage device, a safe, if you will, in at least three places that you would have your firearm. So that's an overshoot. And there's a lot more to that, adding civil cause of actions and so forth. So we'll be all over that one as well. And then the big one that I guess people have been talking about over the last year is what's commonly called as Katrina's Law. Katrina Gonzalez filed for a domestic restraining order against her husband. And with a lot of problems that took place with enforcing existing laws, unfortunately, the husband took a gun and killed her and her daughter and wounded the son. Complete tragedy that should have been avoided if existing laws were enforced. And so here's a great example of the anti-gun lobby taking a unfortunate incident and using it to their advantage to, in essence, create more havoc in the gun world. This is a straight confiscation case. So what they're saying is those that are before that had a domestic violence order of protection against them must turn in their firearms to authorities. And listen, we don't want people that have done this type of a tragedy of domestic violence. Temporarily they should at least we believe at the ISRA that they can be disarmed. And the Supreme Court ruled in Rahimi versus United States that those convicted or those charged with domestic violence can be temporarily disarmed as well, assuming they have due process, meaning a hearing. And so that's kind of the problems we see with this bill. But once again, we'll be down in Springfield and we'll be arguing against all three of these issues.
But when I talked with State Senator Andrew Chesney, the Republican, he said that it's not going to be a surprise if Democrats try to bring up gun control legislation.
Yeah, the gun grab groups are probably going to look at doing something. I mean, we're so restricted in the state of Illinois, and I suspect they're going to continue to try to fight to make that worse. While they want to strip the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens from our ability to lawfully possess firearms, they're going to continue to empower the criminal elements of the communities and not enforce federal law. And so, yeah, that's perhaps one thing they may discuss. The red flag laws and other items that you mentioned is certainly something of interest to them, but it will do nothing to reduce crime. And this is nothing to sell it to suburban limousine liberals that they're going to be safer because they've disarmed law-abiding citizens, and it will do nothing and have zero impact on the safety in their communities. What will have an impact on the safety in their communities is working with the incoming Trump administration to get the criminal activity out of our communities. And we'll start with the illegal immigrants that have not only siphoned off billions and billions of critical dollars and resources, but also have created a disruption within our communities.
So again, it's going to be a fascinating lame duck session. If you're interested in what's going on with Illinois state government, be sure to get the newsletter with the Center Square. We will keep you updated there, and you can get the headlines in your inbox each and every weekday morning. You can also wake up with us here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Just like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network. And get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and we'll see you back here for more Illinois in Focus Daily.